Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday, August 15th, 2024. Born on this date in 1925, country music pioneer Rose Maddox of Boaz. In 1937, former Congressman Ronnie Flippo of Florence. And in 1944, R&B singer-songwriter producer Frederick Knight of Birmingham. Today, we have more controversy in Tarrant, an ID from the tragic high school football player death, money for dredging the bay, and Jonathan Soboleski is going to tell you how the comedian Carrot Top once lost some precious props in an Alabama fire. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. The mayor of Tarrant has had run-ins with members of the city council. He's had a legal battle over his multiple suspensions of the police chief, who's been reinstated, and now the city clerk says she has filed criminal charges against him. AL.com's Joseph D. Bryant reports that City Clerk Laverne Knight said Mayor Wayman Newton is blocking her access to records. The two have been at odds over questions the clerk raised about several documents, including one regarding the hiring of a public works director. Mayor Newton accused Knight of conspiring with the council against him. Knight said she just needs to do her job. And Chief Major said the warrants are legitimate and not political. A football player at New Brockton High School who collapsed during practice and died Tuesday was identified as 14-year-old Samaj Wilkins, according to the Coffee County coroner and reported by WTVY. Wilkins was a freshman at the school. Details are still scarce, with the Coffee County Sheriff's Department, New Brockton Police, and the district attorney investigating. Well, an item made it through a U.S. Senate committee that'll put $47 billion toward the dredging project that'll deepen the Mobile Bay shipping channel, reports AL.com's Margaret Cates. The Alabama Port Authority announced that Senator Katie Britt had put her support behind that $47 million for operation and maintenance, another $400,000 to analyze sediment flow, and in addition to this year's Water Resources Development Act, calling for dredged material to be put to beneficial use. You can see more on that story at the Mobile Press Register's daily digital edition. Well, the latest variant of COVID has been on the upswing across the country, and at least one Alabama school has switched to virtual learning, reports AL.com's Walisha Morris. A Jag High School in Montgomery planned to keep students and teachers home yesterday and today, with numerous staff members sick with the virus. Alabama is one of 17 states listed by the CDC as having a high level of COVID infections. That agency now recommends that people who get sick with COVID head back to work or school after they've gone 24 hours with no fever without taking medication. Now, that's replaced the previous recommendations of longer isolation periods. Hey, we're going to have a really quick ad, and then we're going to get to a story about the comedian Carrot Top and his poor old props. Stay with us. Good to have y'all back. Expert explainer Jonathan Soboleski is going to tell you about the Carrot Top story.
This is the story of the time the comedian Carrot Top came to Alabama and his whole act burned to the ground. It's 1993 and Carrot Top is set to play the Stardome Comedy Club in Birmingham, which at the time was probably the biggest comedy club in the South outside of Atlanta. If you don't know Carrot Top, he's a prop comic. He'd set up a scenario and pull out some ridiculous prop he made as a punchline, like a cookbook filled with yellow page ads for takeout places for people who can't cook, that sort of thing. Anyway, Carrot Top arrives on Friday, drops his trunks of props off at the club, does a radio interview, and then goes to the hotel to get ready for the Saturday shows. Overnight, a blizzard rolls through Birmingham, and the next morning, Carrot Top wakes to the news that in the blizzard, the Stardome was completely burned down, along with every unique prop he had made going back to the early 80s. To make matters worse, he was set to do Jay Leno the following Monday, but his entire act was now ashes. Obviously, he cancels Leno, he can't do the shows on Saturday, but the story does have a happy ending. When Carrot Top returned to his home of Charlotte after the disaster, comedians from across the East and South worked together with him to find all the weird stuff he would need to completely to rebuild his act. And after a few weeks, Carrot Top ends up rebuilding his set and plays The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. They also rebuilt the Stardome in Hoover, where to this day people in Alabama can enjoy major comedy acts from across the country. I saw Pete Davidson there a few months ago. He was pretty good. Anyway, that's the story. I'm Jonathan Soboleski for AL.com.
Thanks, Sobo. That fire, just to put it on the Carrot Top timeline for you, was several years before he starred in Chairman of the Board with Courtney Thorne Smith. Thank y'all so much for taking the time to listen to us. We're going to be back here again in the morning. Until then, y'all come by and see what we're doing on the internet at al.com.